So it's all to play for still.
I think so. Do you want to bet against us?
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to For the Love of Paul McGrath podcast. I was going to try and pawn this one off as a team sheet tantrum for Brisbane Roar, but I know you're too intelligent to know the Brisbane Roar match has already happened, and I couldn't do it. But we did have the best of intentions to do a Brisbane Roar team sheet tantrum, but I literally got a phone call and said, you got to be in Dublin. And I was like, okay, got to be in Dublin, so I can't do it. But I'm delighted today to be joined by James. You can see James there beside this way. Can't get it going. This way. James at Holt 1874. I'm delighted to be joined by him in Paddy's stead today. Paddy's still out in Malta drinking Sisk. I think, or Chisk actually is what he told me today the beer was. And he said if I was to put it on the pyramid of beer, it's below Carlsberg and above Dutch Gold. So sounds like pretty nice beer to me.
Yeah,
but James,
give that a try.
Exactly. James, when are we going to Malta?
Yeah, well, let's pack our bags. Let's sort something there. It's weekend, why not?
Exactly. Yeah, we might as well go over and meet Paddy. And Paddy's got a load of stories. Paddy was at a Europa Conference game last night because Paddy can't stay away from football. He was at a Europa Conference game between some Maltese team and some Serbian team. And yeah, I'm looking forward to that story because he's told me in a bridge story, put it that way. And he said he wanted to tell you guys when he comes back in the pod. But James, how are you doing tonight? Is it still massively balmy and crazy heat over in the UK at the moment? Because it's after breaking here. It's pissing rain here in Ireland at the moment.
Yeah, it's been raining all night here, but it's been nice. Like it, because it was so hot earlier this week. I slept on the floor downstairs the other night. It was too hot, so I was happy there was a bit of a breeze and it was a bit cooler, to be honest.
Yeah, it was only hot here for a couple of days, but like we didn't get the 40-degree heat. We got like 32 or 33 degrees here, which is still too much for any Irishman. So it's I do lament you guys over there, but yeah, it was wild over in the UK. Like it was wild. Actually, it was wild. It was wildfires, and everything like that. I think on Thursday. So Jesus, hopefully everybody out there stayed safe. And if we've got anybody listening in France or in Spain or in Portugal, I think it's still going on at the moment. Or hey, what am I talking about? Everybody's down in Australia. It's that heat anyway, every day down in Australia.
Yeah, that's true.
So, I think the only reason it was that hot here was because God felt sorry for us because all the cool kids were down in Australia.
Yeah, we've got to have some in, haven't we?
Exactly, watching the Villa. Hey, James, actually, before we get into the Brisbane Roar game, and this the way this podcast is going to go because I've had a couple of glasses of whiskey. So this podcast can go any which way. What about Stephen Gerrard going to meet that kid called Aston in the school?
You'll never forget that.
I'll never forget that. Never mind him. And I wasn't even. I was 25,000 miles away from him.
Yeah, it's top class though. Like I think that's something that I love about Gerrard at the moment. He just seems to get everything right. He seems a top class person. So
absolutely. Now, I think Gerrard being from Liverpool, I'm not quite sure he's part of the Tory party, but JDAV76 says Gerrard for PM. Maybe he could be. Maybe he might be. I don't know. I don't know a whole point about politics, but maybe he might be. But I was literally genuinely. It was one of those times that and there's been a couple of times recently because I think Villa are getting a lot of PR right. I think with the fans and specifically when Villa do something out of the ordinary, I think they make a very much family orientation about certain things. Yeah. And like I was watching it and I was above and I was going, oh, that is brilliant. Like, could you imagine if you were that kid? Could you imagine if the father of that kid? Could you imagine if they were the uncle of that kid? Like that would have been like just like a mind-blowing thing. And it's like something you would have watched back in the 90s, like of somebody winning a competition.
It's great. I mean, because not only has he got to meet like the players and the staff and all that over there, he was a mascot. He did the coin toss. He's been offered to come over to Villa Park as well. They've offered him over, and you just think it's correct. It's class because you can say it's all for PR, making it look better, but they don't have to do it. Obviously, they're brilliant with it. brilliant with it.
Like, put it this way, I'd much prefer Stephen Gerrard walking into a school, surprising a kid that having the likes of, and look, okay, I'm well within my rights to say this, but Cristiano Ronaldo smacking a phone out of a kid's hand when he goes to take a photo of him. And look, I know there's going to be times when Villa players are going to have their faux pas and they're going to have their moments when the red mist descends, but the more of those moments that we can have that the Gerrard provided us with, I thought it was most wholesome. And do you know what? Actually, I'll be honest with you. And this is no dig. Like the club, I think, are like this. Dean Smith was very much like this as well. I know for a fact Dean Smith was very much like this. But I think the likes of Gerrard wants to do this. Do you know? Like, do you know the way you can be forced into doing something and you look like a plank when you're doing it?
Yeah,
Gerrard was like he was skipping in that door, and I think that, and to me that's like number one. He wants to be an ambassador for this club, and this goes back to something that myself and Paddy spoke about, and I haven't spoke to you about this at all about Carney Chukwuemeka, about the fact he was left at home. Stephen Gerrard became the manager of Aston Villa when he did that, and he basically put his balls in the doorstep and said, "This is what's going to happen," and I think he's enjoying being a manager down there now because you can see this kind of pep in his step when he goes around the place.
Yeah, I was watching the other day when you were talking to Paddy about it, and Paddy said he come of age with that situation, and I think I agree. Like, there's a lot of different variables when it comes to the Chukwuemeka situation, but I like the stamp of authority you put down is if you're not going to commit, I'm not going to commit to you either. You know, you're over here to play and you're all in. If not, I don't care. And it was great.
Look, I think a manager is well within his rights to say that because number one, he's the authority. So at the end of the day, like Jim, I couldn't walk into my job and say I want a raise, and then say, well, if I don't get my raise, I'm going to look for like if I did that in another job, I wouldn't get certain projects of like I wouldn't be put on projects that would have got me renown or would have got me loads of experience. I would have just been told to do my day job. Yeah. And that's right. So, like, there are people out there who are turning around and are saying, like, "Oh, is this going to turn Carney off?" Well, you don't reward disloyalty either at the same time. And I can, like, call me, like, I'm only 7 years of age, but call me kind of old fashioned if you want. But you don't reward disloyalty, and you reward people who are willing to roll up their sleeves and put in the hard yards, or you're willing to reward people who have a track record of success. And Carney could well go in with a Ballon d'Or. But at this moment in time, and you know what? I'll be honest with you, in 10 years' time, if he does win a Ballon d'Or, there will still be 100,000 people that will say Villa are fucking stupid for letting him go. And that's absolutely fine. But at this moment in time, the right thing to do for Aston Villa Football Club is to not have that circus following us. We don't need a circus. We don't need a circus. We have enough clowns of our own. Like, that's that, and everybody should be like. And Gerrard would have used, like, I know it's probably diplomatically incorrect to say that, but like, we've a lot of people going on that tour that they're looking to sell.
Yeah, well, the reason they're on that tour is to put them in the shop window as well, isn't it? So,
and exactly, and they don't need to put a person in a shop window that isn't going to get them a massive financial return. And for me, I think the business, from business point of view, I think he's 100% correct. I think from a grown up and from a maturity point of view, I think he's actually 100% correct as well. And as Paddy said, and I love Paddy's like Paddy's way. Paddy's no problem with me saying this. Like, myself and Paddy disagree in an awful lot of things. Like, Paddy disagrees that with the dressing room see him this way. I'm going, Paddy, doesn't matter shit to me as long as they go and they win. Like, he's dead right when he says that Stephen Gerrard became the manager of Aston Villa Football Club when he made that decision. And hey, better off blackballing an 18-year-old kid than doing it to a Jack Grealish or a Dougie Luiz or somebody that has massive value. Because at the end of the day, Gerrard looked at the balance sheet and went, if he goes next year, he's only worth 400,000 next year.
Yes.
I find that a bit difficult to believe because arbitration, Villa could definitely argue that upwards.
Yeah.
But if they sell him for a couple of million this off season, I think that's good business. If he doesn't want to sign, we can all sit here and go, oh, X, Y, and Z. But if he doesn't want to sign, he doesn't want to sign.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? Like, as you said earlier, in 10 years' time, he could go on. He could have won all these things. He could have won a Ballon d'Or or whatever. But he also might not have. He's 18 at the moment. What we've seen so far is I'd probably say up and down. He's not. I think a lot of people are just a bit annoyed and saying he's not shown anything. I think he's shown sparks, which is what you get from a young kid.
Yeah.
But it's like, Jacob Ramsey, he had 22 appearances, not last season, the one before, and then he broke into the first team regularly this season, and then he was rewarded. And that's the pathway that you take. So, you don't want to lose your best prospects, but sometimes it's not down to you. And, we've offered him what we thought is a suitable offer. If he wants to go somewhere else for either more money, more playing time, whatever, then that's his prerogative, and we can move on because we produce a lot of good talent there as well. So, that's
you're dead right, James. So, the club is there weighing it up, and they're going, do we get 12 or 14 years out of Tim and Jacob Ramsey, or do we get 3 years out of Carney and he moves on anyway for a lot of money? And I think the club is kind of going, the stability of 14 years of having an 8 and a 6, or look, we're not pigeonholing Tim. I think Tim is looking at himself as an 8 anyway. I think Tim is playing as a 6 because he just doesn't have the experience of playing with big boys football. And I think he's gone, in time to come, I'm going to be that hybrid. But do we get 14 years out of 2 players, or do we get 3 years out of 1 player? And do we literally bow down at one guy's feet as opposed to nurturing maybe Tim, Aaron Ramsey, and Jacob Ramsey? So I think the club are looking at this and going, we'll prioritize the 3 that we have. Yes, we may not win a Ballon d'Or of them, although Jacob Ramsey has all the talent in the world. But the guy then is that thinks he's got a Ballon d'Or, got 3 Ballon d'Ors won already. Yeah, well, look, we let him go and pursue his dream, and if he wants to go down to Catalonia, that's fine. If he wants to go to Dortmund, that's fine. If he wants, as long as he doesn't rock up at fucking Brighton or Wolves and then find out that there's no other contract for him and become too headstrong, that's still okay too. But at the end of the day, it's going to take a lot of the stars aligning for Carney to reach his potential, and sometimes the club you're at is the one that you do it at, as opposed to going on to another club. Like Jude Bellingham is a flash. Sorry, flash in the pan is the wrong word. Jude Bellingham he's not the rule. He's the
the rule.
Exception to the rule. He's the exception to the rule. Yeah. Like Jordan Sancho was the exception to the rule, and then Jordan Sancho came to the Premier League and was absolutely abject. So it's about playing the aces you're dealt. I suppose at the end of the day. Hey, anyway, James, let's change the subject.
Yep.
What a banger of an away jersey.
Nice,
it?
Isn't it? Yeah, I'll get my hands on both of them at some point. I mean, they're not cheap, but I can say for them.
Well, they're not cheap. Yeah, but hey, you're not paying postage to Ireland, but
oh yeah, true.
Now I would bet a lot of money. My greater half isn't watching this, but we were away for a few days, right? And for one reason or another, I didn't get to spend as much money as I wanted to spend. And we only stayed in Ireland. We were in Dublin. But I think my savings might go on both jerseys. That's how I'm feeling right now. Because by all accounts, the quality is absolutely exceptional. Like I'm yet to hear some. Okay, people give out a price point. 100%. I don't mind. Like price point, whether it's 50 quid, whether it's 75 quid, or whether it's 175 quid. There's always going to be somebody who can't afford it. I 100% respect anybody. I can't really afford it what it is at the moment, but I think I'm still going to get it as a treat. But there's obviously so if it was 20 quid and you couldn't afford it, there's still going to be people who are going to give out about it. And that's fine. And I'm not saying give it out about it in a bad way. Price point is price point. Okay, I can't affect that. But the quality of the shirt, I'm yet to hear somebody give out about the quality of the shirt. Like I'm actually hearing people go, "Oh my god, this is way better than I expected. This is actually worth the money." I don't know if you've seen one in the flesh yet, but I haven't. But
I saw someone with one on the other day walking around town, and it looks good, and the fits look good as well. Like they look better than Kappa fit, which is a good thing for me. I'll be honest. Looking forward to getting one.
James, I went to a personal trainer who took my height and my weight. I'm very much conscious of how I'm going to look in any jersey. My brother told you guys I was 5'8". I could have been. I was actually off on that one. I'm lower than 5'8". Yeah, so I actually tried to bribe him to put my weight up, or put my height up a small bit. My weight lower and my height higher. That's what I tried to bribe him to do, but no, he wasn't having it. Wasn't having it. But no, the shirts look. I actually really like the blue one. When I saw and I don't want to be derogatory or whatever, but the knockoffs that somebody I'd posted, he was in Turkey, he saw the knockoffs. So I saw them, I went, pretty, excuse me, I went, pretty plain.
Yeah.
Plain. Looks like a training top. But actually, I've had a lot of friends message me, go, oh, that away shirt looks class. It looks really retro, looks class. I'd buy it if I was a Villa fan. And the more I look at it, I'm going, like when I saw it in Tyrone Mings, I went, I'm not Tyrone Mings, but I think I can still pull that off. I think it's nice.
And I think it looks good with the claret shorts as well. Is it Alicia Lyman was pictured in it earlier? The claret shorts and socks goes with the blue for me.
Yeah.
So,
in fairness, she's going to look good in anything.
And I saw someone comment that earlier saying she'd look good in a bin bag. So
that's not being sexist. That's just having eyes.
That's what someone
put.
That's
just having eyes. And you know what? I think this is nice. Segues. Dougie Luiz looks like he's going to stay. Well, he's going to stay for this year anyway. It looks like AC Milan are cooling their interest. And I saw something online to say that he's very amiable to signing again, and she signed a new deal. So I suppose where goes one, where goes two. I think, I don't know, was it you that I spoke to about this? But I think she might have a say where he goes, and she's happy.
Maybe.
He's happy. So if we get another deal, I want him to sign a contract more so from the point of view, James, that and this is something I know the club is very, very much in, is protecting future value down the line. Like we're in the situation with Carney at the moment, whereby, where's that comment? I think we have there. Someone said he has us over a barrel, and he does. He really does have us over a barrel because we just have nothing. We've nothing to count. Like if he wants to go, he can go. But the big thing, like he's backing himself to go. I don't hate him because of it. But Douglas Luiz has had an abject year. He's had a good year, and he's had a mediocre year. Doesn't really have a back catalogue, but he's enough of it to get a job in Italy. So,
he's experienced in Premier League football. I think it's different football in Italy. It's like Tammy suits Italian football over there, and I think Luiz would as well. But I also think he's good enough for us. When he plays in the midfield on his game, he can help control it. He can help control that midfield. He has a bit of a zip about his passing. He has a bit of Brazilian flair in him. I really like him. I'm not quite sure where we stand on the situation with him. It's a bit weird, isn't it? Coming into a year that's left on it, you want to keep value on him, but it also sometimes I feel like I wonder if we're open to selling him in a domino effect. We want to get another midfielder in. He's probably the best value that we would be open to selling. So it's a really tough one. And at the moment, I think it looks like he stays for the season.
But and this is it. This is where, how am I going to put this? I suppose this is where business and football meet each other. Yeah. Because you always want to have at least two players in your on your starting 11 that you want to sell.
Yeah.
Like you do. I remember Alex Ferguson saying that when he had Dwight York and he had Andy Cole up front, and he said, it was an obscure interview. I think it was like Match of the Day. It was a throwaway commentary. He goes, I always want to start two people I want to sell, and today it was Andy Cole and Dwight York. It was one of these things to say they were shit and they couldn't score between them, and he was having a bad day and he was giving them like a size 9 up the posterior. But that resonated with me. I was young. I was 10, 11, 12, whatever, when he said that. But it always resonated with me. But you do, for a team like Aston Villa, you want to have two players in your team that you always want to be able to sell or are comfortable with selling because you know that you're getting massive profit for them. Yeah. And I think by signing somebody like Douglas Luiz to a new contract, I think he goes from a 20 million signing. I think he probably could have gone for 20 million this season. Yeah. I think Villa would have let him go. I think now he probably goes for 30 million, 35 million. Now he puts two good seasons together and stays in the Brazil squad, goes to a World Cup for Brazil. I think maybe somebody from the continent, like a PSG, collect these guys. You know, they collect them for fun, or Juventus collects these guys for fun. I think it's not within the realms of possibility that Villa are looking at him going, we bought him for 13, I think it was. We could get over 40
rising.
for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well, that's all gone now. I think with the fact that he's with escalators and the fact that time has passed.
Yeah,
I think
like
he's whole
amortization and that.
sell-on fee. Well, no, I think the sell-on fees and stuff like that have gone.
Oh yeah.
Whatever that was. I think there was time basis in those. No, look, hey, we're all sitting here. Hey, I'm sitting in Ireland, James. I don't know where in the hell in the UK you're sitting in. None of us know fucking hell about contracts. But what was reported was that a lot of those flittered away after time. And if he signs his second contract with Villa, I think they go anyway.
Yeah.
I could be wrong on that.
I think so.
And I don't know if there's any football lawyers in the audience, but maybe. But I will keep Douglas Luiz. I think Douglas Luiz is like a guy that he's like a terrier that just barks at the postman at the moment. And we hate him because he barks at the postman. But at the end of the day, because we keep him in the house, but at the end of the day, if he was around the back, he could be barking at fucking robbers trying to get in around the back, you know?
Yeah.
So I think we've curtailed him a small little bit.
Yeah.
And let's see what he can do in the number 8 position. I don't know.
I like him in the number 8 position. Was it the Leeds game when we played Kamara, JJ, and Luiz in midfield? Yeah. I liked that midfield. They looked good. They looked like they could press, keep the ball, advance the ball. I liked it. And you could also switch JJ with McGinn, and I think you get the same effect. So I like Luiz, but I think it may hinge on another signing coming in. It may be that he stays and another signing comes in, and maybe a Sanson leaves or something like that. I think there's a lot of possibilities.
I think Sanson could still very well leave, but
he might stay as well.
We get onto it in a moment. We get onto a moment because I did preface this about Brisbane Roar and United. We're 22 minutes in. We've discussed neither of them. But before we do that, before we go to either of those two, let's go to a couple of comments first. Kahua Gaming says Alicia's staying, so is Doug. End of. I actually agree with that. But Kahua also comes on with a second part and says Memphis Depay. Anybody? He has the lion tattoo on his back, so he fits in with the whole moniker of the lion Aston Villa. But I think Memphis Depay is a small bit of a head the ball. I think Memphis Depay knows he's got paid.
Yeah.
That makes sense?
Yeah.
I think he wants to be a good footballer, but knows he's got paid.
I think I like him as a footballer. I think he's really tidy. I think he has that versatility across the front three as well that would suit us if he was playing at the top level again. When he was in, was it Lyon that he was at?
Yeah, he
was really good. His move to Barca with his form there. He's really good operator. You just want to be able to get players that are in the prime, near the prime, ready to put all in. And I just don't know if you would with him. If so, he's quality. He is quality, and I think it's a fair price as well for a 20 million fee. If we were involved with that,
I think if you sign someone like Memphis Depay, not someone like. I think if you sign Memphis Depay, I think Memphis Depay is looking for a move down south, as in London, within a year.
Yeah,
I think he becomes. I think he breaks our hearts. I think he scores 10 goals maybe, and he has a great year. And he's flicks and tricks, and he's every bit of the maverick that he is in the field. And then all of a sudden he gets linked with Spurs.
Yeah, something like that.
And Spurs are only willing to pay 18 million for him, and he forces a move, and we're like, "Fuck Memphis Depay!" Like we've been down that road, so many times, or. Actually, it wouldn't be West Ham. West Ham are doing bits. West Ham are doing business. Like Chukwuemeka and Kostic. Unbelievable business.
That's a great partnership between them. Kostic with his crossing and Chukwuemeka's aerial ability and his physicality. He'd come in for Antonio when needs be, or play with him, or be the main man. I think that'd be really good signing for West Ham.
I'm actually going to go to bed tonight and pray that PSG go stump up the money for Chukwuemeka, because I don't want him in the Premier League, because I think he's an absolute fit for the Premier League. He's one of the few Italians that will come in No, watch people play this back in 6 months' time. With Skamaka has 18 games, no goals. But
Well, as long
I
as it's
think
not against us.
not against us. Well, not 18 games, no goals for West Ham. But I just think that he's nasty enough to play in the Premier League. He's not a flat merchant like most. And once again, I'm not trying to disparage the whole Italian nation. It's just what we've seen. There's been very
Yeah.
few Italians that have come into the Premier League and lit it up. But I think Skamaka could be the guy who come in and be very, very plausible.
Mhm.
But and they're getting him for a song of 40 million, I think is a bit of a song. But anyway, on to more comments here. Liam Zilly, he says, incoming happy Limerick man. I think that's me. I'm still celebrating. Absolutely still celebrating. Ian says, I like to pay. My only concern is the last time he was in the Premier with Man United, he didn't exactly set the header alight. Yeah, I think that was more to do with United more so than his ability. But then again, I think
And
now that he knows his ability, I think now
yeah,
it's going to be more about him now. So I think there's like 3 stages to Memphis to pay.
it's a bit like Salah when he came to Chelsea, had to go out again. He'd had his experience in the Premier League, went back to Italy, came back to Liverpool, different player because he's learned a lot more. I think it could be the same with Depay.
Yeah, I think so. Dave says, slightly concerned, seemingly no Bundia from the off tomorrow if Romeo made us to be believed. We look off for creative. We'll come to that comment in a moment, Dave. We'll come to that comment in a moment. We've seen the Gerrard for PM. Shane Coleman says, Villa are building a squad with depth. Gerrard, only players that would improve us coming in. I love that. And do you know what?
Yeah.
At the start of the summer, I would have said, yeah. Now I'm thinking the fact we have this is weird. When we were buying players by the pound in at the start of the summer, like it was literally another day, another link, another day, another signing. I was kind of going, I don't know. Even though the players we bought were really good, don't get me wrong. But now that we're not buying players, I'm kind of going, there's a matter of principle because we brought in a guy in Augustinson that he genuinely. I think I don't think that Gerrard's going to be a lapdog for Langer. I don't think Dean Smith was either. Before anyone questions that, I just realized there's a thing off the wall behind me. One of my pictures is off the wall behind me, and it's really annoying me. There's a gap between Gabby and the other beer mats. But I think Gerrard was told, listen, this is a guy we're thinking of. If you want a left back, have a look at him. Gerrard looked at him and went, yeah, fuck it, I want him. Yeah, he's exactly what I want. I think there's very much that kind of yin and yang, and there's that kind of simpatico there. And I believe in that. I think that we're going to wait for players. Like we waited for, we waited. We didn't go all out for an 8 in for the Rodrigo Bentancur, which I wish we did, but anyway we didn't in January of last year. And I think Gerrard is going to wait again for when the money and the talent matches up. But I do think we're definitely signing an 8 before.
I think so as well. I think that they do work in. They have to suit the club with quality wise and financially. It's got to make sense all round. They will want to get someone in. And a lot of things can obviously change fast. So you could see it a bit later when, as I've said before, a bit of a domino effect. We could see someone come in. But they obviously weren't so eager to splash money in January to sort our 6 problem. And they were focused on getting Kamara in. And I think I heard they were sorting that out pretty early after the window. So they were laying the groundwork. They knew what they wanted and they got it done, which is really good because, I mean, he could have gone to a top club. Kamara could have, as a free agent as well.
Well, if it puts anyone's mind at ease, now I'm a couple of whiskies in now. I'm going to like. I know that they dined Kamara. Like Gerrard Albert went over and sat in his lap for a week over in Marseille. Like his dad and Gerrard spent more time talking to his dad than he did, and you see it in the video when Gerrard goes, "Where's your dad? Where's your dad? I gotta talk to him." Apparently, that was the thing. It was Boubacar is the player. You got to get around the mum and the dad. And apparently, Gerrard went over and did a bang up job on that. And I know that. Look, I know Nathan Collins was in very high contact with Steven Gerrard at one stage. I know that for a fact. I know that for a fact that they were in high contact, and it just came down to playing time. But Gerrard likes to get to know the family, gets to know the ins and the outs of the player, the tangibles and the intangibles. And when we're talking about building a squad, I think that's important because you can build a squad by a fella who you think is going to make your team better. But if he doesn't match the chemistry of your squad, you're
Yeah.
kind of screwed. Because if you've a guy who's getting 6 games and he gets disgruntled and starts kicking the ties out of the pram and starts being a prick on the bench
Yeah.
and throwing bottles around the place and stuff like that, I think Gerrard's smart enough to know you got to know the pedigree of a guy and sign the pedigree as much as you got to sign the actual
Yeah.
playing time as well of a guy too. So I'm impressed. I'm impressed with that. Here's a question for you, James. I'm still unsure about the chemistry. Actually, we'll come back to this when we talk about our Brisbane Roar and our Man United. But remind me to come back to this, the
Okay.
continuum Buendia, because you're not the one who's been drinking whiskey all night. Is Traore on his way, James?
I'd say so. I think it's just so frustrating to watch. It can be great and it can be very not great. I think he's got some sort of saleability about him. The only problem is I think it'd be to a team on the continent, and there's not all that amount of money over there at the moment. But it could be done, I suppose, structuredly. But in terms of what he adds to the squad, Gerrard wants to get rid of the inconsistencies, and Traore to me just epitomises inconsistency. So I just think that he will be on the way out. So yeah, I'd expect to see that. It just depends where, it depends when it happens. They will want to get people out, as obviously ASAP. Maybe it'll start moving when we get back to England. But yeah, we'll see.
You make a great point, and I agree with you. But I'm going to play devil's advocate with it for a minute. Steven Gerrard is a man who played on teams with Nicolas Anelka, Liverpool. He played with Djibril Cissé.
Yeah.
And they were absolute wild cards. Like Anelka, when he was at Liverpool, was a wild card. He wasn't the Anelka that was with Chelsea and with Bolton and us. Anelka was a wild card. Anelka was a guy. Anelka, actually, do you know what? Anelka was a wild card through his whole career because he just shot on sight. And I've likened Cameron Archer to Anelka. And I the more I'm seeing of Cameron Archer, the more I'm patting myself in the back on. Yeah, he kind of is, because he just loves to take shots at goal. Yeah. And I think one of the biggest flaws with strikers at the moment, specifically the likes of Ollie Watkins, is he wants to take the right shot as opposed to just taking a shot when no one is expected to take it. Now we'll get back to that in a moment. But I think Gerrard has a soft spot for him. Now, look, every man's got a price. And as I said, he's probably on the list of 3 or 4 that are saleable if the right offer comes in. But I think if the right offer doesn't come in, I think Gerrard would like to throw him on in a game against Brighton. There's a game they play like 3 at the back in attack and 5 at the back in defense. A guy the players don't have a fucking clue what's going on, and you pass it to him, and all of a sudden he just pings one in off his left shin, like from 40 yards, and you're going. And like I think last year our predictability was our biggest problem, and he kept on talking about wanting to see Traore. And I think it was for very much that. I think he plays a predictable system, but he likes to bring in a joker out of the pack. And I think that's why he persists with Leon Bailey's and the Traores and the likes of those, is that he needs to have a structure to his game from minute 1 to 60, and then after that I think he likes to have a bit of a free rein. And we've seen that in games where our game plans can be completely different after an hour. So I'm not so sure Traore is on the chopping block unless the right offer comes in. The right offer for Aston Villa comes in.
I think it's an interesting one as well. You made a good point. And just thinking about it now, when he was at Rangers, obviously that's where they coined the 210s. And I think they based one whole window pretty much over stacking different types of 10s that they have. And they had like 8, 9, 10 different sort of players.
Yep.
And Traore,
Georgie Hadji's son. Hadji. They had Scott Arfield, who they moved back into an A position.
Aribo.
Kent, Rebo.
Aribo is the one that reminds me of Traore in a way. On the ball, it's really, it can be silky.
I think Aribo's useless, by the way, but
yes, but you know what I mean. He's got that sort of. He's got the flair on the ball. He likes to dribble it, and he just gives you something different. He can just he can conjure something out of nothing. So maybe, yeah.
And in fairness, they have Morelos up front, who is a bit of a maverick himself. Like, you know, I know he scores loads of goals in Rangers, and we've been linked with him. I'm not quite sure his Premiership ability But
No.
I think if he went to somewhere like I keep on going back to Italy because I think the Italian league is so structured that if you bring in an out of structure player like Dybala is an out of structure player and he's thrived out there,
Yeah.
and the likes of like Batistuta was now the structure player. You go back through the years, and Totti was
Yeah.
now the structure player, and
Yeah.
he was Italian. They didn't know what the fuck to do with him. The Italian national team didn't know what to do with him because he was now
Yeah.
the structure player. Yet in the Italian league, he was an absolute champ. Cassano, I could list these players. I just don't know is like Morelos, but Morelos is an out of structure player for Rangers, and so Gerrard can work with those, but he does like his structure. So I think
Yeah.
it's a bit of a kind of it's like you make a lovely dinner and you throw that extra bit of garlic in at the top, kind of a thing, to give it a little bit of a punch,
Bit
So
of pizzazz.
exactly, a bit of pizzazz. What other comments have we? Apparently we've there it is. There's Philip's one, and we're going to get on to the Australian bit in a moment. We're only 35 minutes into the podcast. Give us a minute, lads. So what's people's thoughts on having 3 million fans in Australia, according to Purslow? I'd be surprised if we had 3
Yeah, me too. Seems a bit put out there, that, doesn't it?
It looked like we did, though, at the Leeds game. It looked
Yeah.
like the Leeds game, the atmosphere was bloody amazing. And
Yeah.
fair play. If there's any Melbourne, Brisbane, or I apologize. Sorry, actually, I'll go back and I'll scratch all the names. If there's any Australian Lions Club members or listeners to the podcast that live in Australia, thank you very much, because I actually felt loved watching that game because it was amazing. Amazing.
It's great having that global support. We can go. If you go anywhere and you have that support, because obviously not everyone can afford to fly across the world to support Villa. But having those bases in different countries, we have loads in America as well. It just shows your global reach. It just shows that the size of your fan base, and it's something that makes you proud to be part of.
Do you remember when? Well, sorry, actually, James, you probably don't. I'm going to be really honest with this one. I think it was 98. Arsenal signed Junichi Inamoto from Japan, and automatically, literally within the next few days, our balance sheet just went that way from shirt sales.
Yeah, that's another big thing.
I think we're away from that at the moment, considering unless you find a really untapped market like India or Pakistan or Bangladesh or somewhere like that, and Aston Villa are primed for that, maybe with a Arjun Reiki or someone like that, But you're not going to be signing players out of those markets at this moment in time. Now, hopefully, the time will come because obviously the game is getting better in those areas. But when Arsenal did that, it just went up and up, and they just literally they found him out of Fulham, they found him out wherever else, but Arsenal's balance sheet just kept on going that way. I think this is the new. If you can go there and you can make a real impression on a portion of a population the size of Australia, and I think Aston Villa have done that, and I think that's why the PR has been amazing. I think this will be remembered. I think this Aston Villa tour will be remembered in the likes of Townsville, Brisbane, and Perth. And I think obviously United are going to come and they're going to have their big fucking entourage with them or whatever. But I think there's a small bit more of a kind of a hipster feel about Aston Villa, and I think that's where we're going to grab the fans, grab the uncasual fan, grab the casual fan, should I say?
Yeah, and I think as well, just makes you think of how they're trying to get affiliate clubs sorted in Portugal. Tap into that sort of area, make some good relationships with clubs, see where you go from there. If you can get talent from those places as well as part of your club, and you can also share your talent on loans and stuff, I think you build good relationships and it can help with a lot. And, only ways up, I think, at the moment globally.
And you know what? Of all the countries in all the world where they create great athletes, Australia is up there.
Yeah.
You go to any Olympics, like Australia is up there in the middle. Like, yeah, Ireland's right beside the UK. Come over here to Ireland. We've got fantastic athletes. But I can guarantee you 90% of them are going to be in the front page of the Sun for one reason or another. So maybe the Australians could as well.
Yeah,
the Australians could as well. They have the penchant for an old pint here and there, but you know what I mean with that. But they do. They've got a punch, like they're a very fit nation and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Look, Armoy is joining Celtic, and like they've got these players that have played in the Premier League. They've got a pedigree playing in the Premier League. So look, and look, Man City have what is it? What's Man City's team down there? Man City have a team down there. I can't remember. Is it Melbourne City?
Yeah, I think it might be Melbourne. Yeah.
Yeah, because they just do it in M's, and N for New York City.
Yeah.
But and I admit they don't do it M's at all, because when you're looking at, they have Girona, they have everyone else. Cut that from the podcast. Cut that from the podcast.
Move on.
Absolutely. But yeah, I don't think we've got 3 million fans in Australia, and if we do, well, more power to them, because it sounded like we did in the Suncorp Stadium in I think it was Suncorp Stadium against Leeds.
Yeah.
And I hope to Christ we sing our absolute neds off against Manchester United when it comes to it on Sunday. There's a man here by the name of Liam that was asking me any plans to do watch-alongs this season. There was plans for it, but it takes up a lot of time. And I swear an awful lot when I'm watching games. So this nice exterior that you have right now doesn't happen during games. During games, there's very much punching walls and swearing and stuff. So I'm very much maybe. I'm not going to say I won't do it. But if you were to ask me now tonight on the 22nd of July, I would say it's unlikely. It's unlikely for sure. So let's look back at and we'll talk a small bit about we'll do this very quickly, and we'll talk small bit about who potentially could be coming in afterwards. Brisbane Roar game. I was never putting much stock in it anyway before it ever happened. And to be honest with you, the best man in the field was a man from Ireland. He was a man who played with Galway United, my local club here in Galway, and he was from Dublin. The best man in the field I thought was Jay O'Shea for Brisbane Roar. Irish guy playing down there for ages. Charlie Austin came around and spent more time in the right back position than he did up front. I thought when I heard after the game that Villa did an hour and a half session at 11 o'clock that morning, it made so much sense to me about how shit we were in the first half.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I didn't get to watch it live because I was at work, but I like catching up on the highlights and stuff. And as you say about the 90-minute session before, but the whole point of that is to get a fitness ready, obviously. But that does make sense with the lethargy on the ball and stuff. Second half team looked a lot sharper, but I think we see that quite a lot when Buendia comes on. Tim looked good. Archer looked good. Took his second chance. But yeah, I think we said a couple of weeks ago when we did the pod that the Brisbane game would be a bit different to obviously the Leeds and United ones, and it was. But yeah, it's not always it's not about the results. It is about the fitness. It's about getting a bit of chemistry. It's about not getting injuries, and that's what happened. So job done really.
And I think that's true because, like, at the end of the day, like United played Crystal Palace today, I think it was, and it was before actually coming in the Irish angle again. It was like 4 Irish kids played in that as well. One of them, his name is Killian Phillips, had an absolute banger of a game. Started centre midfield, he was brilliant, and then it brought on the cohort of the under 21s. This guy Killian Phillips, he wasn't even on my radar. I don't even know who the hell he was. I'll be really honest with you, and he was really good today for Crystal Palace. I think Crystal Palace are going to be a dark horse this year. They've made some really good signings, and they made Chris Richards. They just signed him as well today for 15 million. I think Crystal Palace could be somebody that could be like a new Wolves or something like that, because like they're making moves when the likes of Wolves aren't, and Leicester haven't signed anybody this season. But that's a conversation for another day.
Yeah.
When we look back at that game against Brisbane Roar, you could see leggy legs out there, and you could see it was definitely a game whereby players were coming off a game on the Sunday. It was Sunday again, lest we forget. And then the Wednesday again. There was no days off. You're there to run when you're in 40-degree heat. Like, so they're not looking out for you when they're out there. They're looking for you to, like,
they're pushing you.
If you're not puking, you're not running, like, and that's what this time of year is for. Especially when Ashley Priest said, and I must say, Ashley, if you're watching, you're probably not, but if you are, give us a thumbs up. Ashley, if you're watching, you're doing absolute God's work out there. I'll be honest with you, the Birmingham Mail gets a small bit of stick every so often. I won't have it. Ashley Priest does a fucking fantastic job. and I'm very much in his corner, and he's doing a super job. And I see a lot of comments I hear actually are very much like John Steele has one here where Ashley's getting some good
Yeah,
content.
he is.
Yeah, and I will be honest with you guys, Ashley's one of the good guys. He really is.
Yeah.
I speak to him off camera. I speak to him on camera. He's a really good guy. He's
He comes
what you
across
see is
as
what
it.
you get. And he's just a fucking Villa fan. That's what he is,
Yeah.
So fair play to him. He's living the dream out in Australia. And
He
keep
is.
it up,
He is.
Ashley. If you're watching it, I really appreciate all the content you're putting out, because we literally get what you give us. And thank you very much for that. But he said that they were training the day before. They had an hour and a half training, and it was pretty tough, So look, as you said yourself, it's all about being fit, and all about fitness. And of course, Archer comes on, scores an Archer type goal
does.
when he does, and Buendia comes on, does a couple of skips around the ball and stuff like that. And Buendia is great, don't get me wrong, but he's he. I think he's there, but I don't think we're playing 2-10s to start the season. I think we're 4-2. I think we might be 4-2-3-1, or I think we might be 4-2 something.
It's tough. It's tough to call, isn't it? Because I mean, you've got Bailey that, as we said, Gerrard seems to like, and I like what he does offer when he's fit. I think he can scare defenses. He can push defenses back for one thing, give you more room to operate in. I think we'll see a lot of changes. I think we might see Coutinho and Buendia together. Might see Coutinho and Bailey. Might see two strikers and 110. It's one of those. We could see the 4-2-3-1. I'd like to see who partners Kamara in that sense, because I don't think Gerrard wants to drop McGinn, but he also really likes Ramsey. I'm going into this season not knowing a couple of positions who's going to play where, and it's quite exciting actually.
I think it's exciting to have options.
Yeah,
and I know. Look, I had a great analogy there about a box of chocolates, but it just didn't work. But it didn't work for this one. But I think that you become a big team when you can replace a person off the bench with somebody that's as good as who you're bringing off.
Yeah.
And while I would love to play all our good players, I think I think we will be in a position come the start of the season whereby we'll have a bench where we're going, oh, he's on the bench, Jesus. Like the bench is as we're like there was times last season where we're looking at the bench when we're all fit and we're going, oh, the bench is as good as who we're playing, and it doesn't work out that way. Absolutely, it doesn't, because team goes up and puts in abject performances and people off the bench. But you can only call it as you see it on minute 0, and like Buendia is not a bad footballer. He's a flipping brilliant footballer. Coutinho is a brilliant footballer, but Coutinho is better than Buendia when Coutinho puts it together.
Oh, yeah.
And it's completely understandable that there'll be games when he doesn't put it together.
Yeah.
Now, would I like to see the two of them play together? I would love to see the two of them play together. And I think they will play together. But I think if you're looking at a 38-game season, you got to have an A and a B kind of setup, or a C and a D setup. And that's what Gerrard's going to have the luxury of having this year without thinking on the fly, or trying to implement on the fly. And that's what I think Aston Villa are going to be different about this season, is we're going to be more prepared when we're going to be more prepared on a lesser time scale than last year, because we did some good work when we weren't prepared at all. And sometimes that's why we had massive losing streaks, was Gerrard was going, oh, we have to play this against, or we're going to play this against this team. And it wasn't naivety. It was because it was probably the right thing to do, but we weren't set up to do it. And I think that's okay too. But he will be judged on the massive losing streaks that he had last season, not having those again this season and getting draws in between.
Yeah.
People going to get him.
Yeah, he wants to cut out two main things. He's cut out the inconsistency, cut out the sloppy goals that we concede. And I think bringing in the balance that we'll have from Kamara, that helps. He helps the defence, he helps the attack. And then you got Carlos, who is so calm on the ball. With the amount of games under Gerrard where we wanted to play out from the back, but there was a bit of a,
Laugh is like a box of chocolate. Yeah, I feel. Do you know what? When I go to try and walk inside in a minute, I'll be like Forrest Gump. I'll be all over the place as well. I try and walk inside after the amount of whiskey I've had. But life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to. Sorry, James. I knocked you off your
No, but
stride.
there was a bit of like hesitancy on the ball at the back. You look at Carlos; he looks like he won't wilt under pressure. The same with Kamara, and that's going to help a lot. You know, I think the amount of times that we saw a ball down the channel, a long ball down the channel, and the ball just comes back at you, and
Yes,
you can't get any momentum when you've not got the ball. So riding the waves of pressure is going to be important.
And James, you're dead right. I think one of the biggest things with Villa last year was the ball was. We were able to give the ball back, but what we were doing was we were giving the ball back when they were set.
Yeah.
So and this isn't a criticism of Mings because I definitely think Mings is starting.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you your opinion on that, and I've seen it before. That look, Ashley's doing a fantastic job outside there, absolutely brilliant. And Love Bleed says the exact same thing. I think Ashley's great. His content at Oz has been top notch. Love his videos in the local pubs. I love his videos in local. I love videos in every pub. I feel like I'm in a pub all my life. But he said that Konza and Carlos were playing with the main team this season, and I think that or today in training, I think that stands to reason. We get on to that when we're talking about United. But I think one of the biggest things with Mings last year is Mings was taking it down. He was looking to pass it back to Martinez. Maybe the casuality of Mings is going to be not beaten out of him, but made like not a thing this year. And if we can get that ball up faster when they're less set, I think that's going to help Watkins because I don't think Watkins is very good against a set defense if the ball is coming straight at him. Now, when we play in triangles and when we Ross Barkley there, okay, everybody cool your jets, pull up your chairs, stay safe. I'm going to say something here that might knock people off their chairs. Ross Barkley was one of those out of the box players that we had because he's a big tall guy. He occupies a player and he's able to turn on the ball. He's as slow as a wet week, absolutely. But when he gets turned, he's able to pass the ball. And when he did it, when Watkins was there, Watkins was scoring goals.
Yeah.
So, and that allows me to believe that when teams are set, and I think teams were more afraid of a James or of a Ross Barkley than they were very afraid of you, but they were more afraid of a Ross Barkley than they were of a not a Ross Barkley. I think we were playing him last season when we went more flat in midfield. So, like sometimes we mightn't like the player, but what he brings is difficult for a team to hold. Now, does Coutinho do that? I don't think he does, but he does it in a different way because if Coutinho gets facing you, best of luck to you.
Yeah.
But as teams showed us last year, if he doesn't get facing you, is he Philippe Coutinho if he doesn't get facing you? And if the team is going to be built around getting Watkins into positions, I'm not saying we sign Ross Barkley for 7 million. Please do not get me wrong on this one. What I'm saying is styles make fights. And it's going to be Gerrard's job to get the best out of Ollie Watkins. But the best of Ollie Watkins is when you create that unpredictability in front of the back four. So who's going to create that unpredictability? Is it going to be Buendia? Is it going to be Traore? Is it going to be Coutinho? Who's it going to be? And it's going to be coming from the back. What Mings is going to get it forward fast enough.
Well, there's also the shout that if he struggles with his first system that he wants to play with the season, unless he starts with it, he's always got the fallback of the two strikers again. Because when we played that to balance us back out, you had Ings dropping off, creating a bit more room for Watkins, and we saw a couple of goals out of that, specifically like the Southampton game. Ings dropped deep, plays the ball into Watkins, he turns and scores. It's all about the movement of dragging, making that space, and that's what Watkins likes. If someone drops off, creates a space for him, he's not slow. He can beat his marker to the ball, and the other thing about Watkins, he can make something out of nothing. When he's on form and he's pressing, that's what I like about him.
But can Watkins make something out of nothing from the edge of the I've seen Archer do it from the edge of the attacking third. Watkins can make something out of nothing if the ball falls to him in the box. For a winger, I'm very disappointed in him in his carrying of the ball and his composure. Now, I want Ollie Watkins to stay, don't get me wrong, but I think that if we can get Ollie Watkins to be an across the defender runner, as like Harry Kane's making a living out of running across the defender.
Yeah.
That's what he did. He got cocky, got a couple of goals, got 20, 30 goals a season, like just like that happened like that.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden, then the rest of his game came into play. Like he's 10 years or something with over 20 goals a season, you know, or something mad like that, you know. So when stuff falls into sorry, by the way, for the fact checkers out there, I know he's not 10 years with 20 goals a season. So lay off of that one. But when stuff gets into, like when you've got a striker that's confident, anything can happen. So what I would like Watkins to do is be that run across the face of the defender type player, like a winger would do, and try and slot it into the corner. But I just don't think he's good enough at slotting in the corner at the moment. But he can get there. But then again, he's 26 years of age. So when is he going to get there? There's a lot of devil's advocate with him.
Yeah, he's one of those that when he goes 1-on-1 with the keeper, I'm never sure. I'm never sure it's going to be a goal. I think he's more of an instinctive finisher. I just think of like the goal against City from the corner, comes in fast at him. He's muscle memory. He's so much better when it comes to that. I would at the moment rather see Archer for a 1-on-1 than Watkins, but Watkins does give us a lot when he's on form.
Archer's 2 goals in preseason have been brilliant. Yeah. Like his first one ran from middle of the field, albeit against 2 trialists. Okay, you know, but his goal against Brisbane Roar was quite good. You know, he had a couple of shots on target where he'd gotten into positions and he carried the ball forward himself, straight at goalkeeper, blocked by defenders, stuff like that. And he kind of learned, and he actually, am I right in saying he took in his left foot? The goal.
It was his right.
His right.
The thing I liked about it was even though the ball was coming into Watkins, he was ready for it to come to him. He had the expectancy. Yes. He had the time. The ball didn't bounce off him. He took a touch and he placed it. And that's what I like about it. There's no panic.
Yeah. You know, you're right. I was thinking of a time he took it and he actually he went wide and he took a shot in his left foot. Yeah. I thought that was the goal. But going back to Mings and Carlos and stuff like this, do you know what? Like I'm readily and I'm massively of it. I think Mings is going to start the season, but I'm okay with the conversation. And Red Pepper, great to have you listening, Red Pepper. If anybody doesn't know Red Pepper, just type it into Google, because you're going to get an oral experience that's just so fantastic that I'm not even going to bother explaining it, because
his voice is incredible.
So brilliantly. He is the voice of all voices. But Red, thank you so much for listening, man. This is amazing. I can't believe we've got Red Pepper listening. But he says, don't get me started on Mings. Standalone, I'm happy to be pelted with rocks, my opinion. But Mings has plenty of time to develop. He's set in his ways. He'll never be world class. And you know what? I don't think you're wrong to say it. I think we like, and I know when I've got a cop out in saying the world class bit, but I think Mings knows he's had a couple of hairy moments over the last 18 months.
Yeah.
Prior to those 18 months, I think he was rock solid, and I think he needs to find his way back to being rock solid again. Can he? Can you teach an old dog new tricks? Is the question for Mings.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Can you teach an old dog new tricks?
Yeah, he's not going to be world class. I don't think he is world class, but he's very good. He gets a lot of unnecessary hate. I think I can understand the frustration with the hoof ball, the mistakes, but I think people overlook the really good work that he does. But I also have no issue with people like Red that say we want to upgrade, and it's like, well, yeah, obviously. Naturally, you do want to move up a level, but that's not a slight on Mings either. He's got us to this point as well. He helped us get promoted. He helped us stay up. He's helped us solidify. And I don't think it's, harsh to say, yeah, I'd like someone a bit better. And I don't think it's wrong to say that you're open to the conversation of who is going to be the long-term centre-back partnership.
I think that's good. I think centre back. I think the Premier League is probably the harshest league in the whole entire world on centre halves. Like Harry Maguire isn't good. Okay, we can all agree on that.
Yeah.
He's not any good anymore, but he was good at one stage.
He was
very good at one stage. Now, I'm going to then take it on to another person. I'm going to say, like, am I right in saying that Mings has never played, or has Mings never conceded a goal as an England player? Is there some mad statistic like that?
No, I think he has, but it's something like he's got 12 or 13 clean sheets out of 14 or something.
Never conceded a goal in tournament play or something like that. Now, once again,
tournament play,
people are going to say, "Oh, he's only played 4 games in tournament play." That's fine. That's okay. Now, what I'm getting at there is that a lot of the likes of Leo Bonucci, Giorgio Chiellini, a lot of likes of these absolutely like fucking Gandalf style defenders that you have in the Italian league. They make a lot of their name in the international stage. And nobody really follows Serie A as cleanly as they do. And maybe, yes, they're good in big games, but they might try and a rick against Cremonese every so often or whatever. So what I'm trying to say here is that and this is completely, I've got no basis on this. This is just me waxing lyrically here, other than the fact that I know that Bonucci and Chiellini have thrown in ricks in their time before. But I think the defender's game is an old game. I think that, yes, he's coming close to 30, if not he's 30 already, Tyrone Mings, and he does need to pull up his socks. But once again, James, I'm going to go back to my caveat of, I think he's one of the 2 saleable players in the team that every team needs to keep. I think if you're talking about 2 saleable players, Tyrone Mings and Douglas Luiz are the 2 saleable players for big money that we have at the moment.
Yeah.
Yes, you've got the Bertrand Traore who are going to get maybe... Bertrand Traore might get 10 million. Might.
Yeah, maybe. So around that 8 to 10. Yeah.
But I think the saleable players that you're going to say, I can sell these guys and replace them in the morning, are Luiz and Mings.
Yeah, I think so. And I think we do have ready-made replacements in a sense of we have got good options already. And then we've got good options coming through the academy as well, which is another thing. I always thought at the start of the window when we got Carlos in, and there was a lot of talk about another centre half coming in. Obviously, you said Collins was on the list and in contact. I thought it was going to happen.
I'm going to get pelters for that in the morning. I shouldn't have said it anyway.
But yeah, I think I expected it to happen at first, but I also think they do like to keep the pathway clear. And we've got we've got 4 or 5 options outside of the academy. We've got Mings, Carlos, Chambers, Conser, House. So we've got options, and we're not afraid to dip into the market for the right player as well.
And I think, James, as I've always said, and I've said, I'm going to blow my own horn. I'm going to say I'm probably the only one who's making this observation, is that of all the young players who've coming up, you've the young Tims, you've got the Jaden Philogene Badesi, you've the Cameron Archers, you've got all these guys are coming from a pool of players that are of the age to be able to make and in a position to make an impact now. The Svinkels, the Bogards and those, you can't throw those in at 17 at centre half. You just can't. And it's too young. And the gap between the likes of them and 25 and I don't even know what age Tyrone Mings is. He's 29 if he's not 30.
29-ish, yeah.
That gap is too big to throw in the Bogards, the Svinkels. And I know, and it's even younger that's actually on the bench at the moment with Josh Feeney.
Yeah.
But maybe he's that freak that comes up along. But the club are being judicious, and they're being diligent with the fact that they're minding that area of the field, because like it's once in a generation that Gareth Barry comes along and plays at 17. It's once in a generation that these guys come along and they actually take to the man's game at centre half, because it's a whole different ball game at centre back than it is at right wing or striker.
Yeah, but you have to be built for it as well, didn't you? I think that's the one thing with Feeney as well. He needs a bit more physical development as well as developing his actual ability. But I think maybe 2 seasons time, 3 seasons time, you might see him getting a bit more game time. But yeah, it is a bit early for him. But as I say, it's all about the pathway for him, isn't it? This is what the club go on about constantly. So we want to make additions that improve the squad, but don't block the pathway. That's why you're seeing players like Carlos and Coutinho come in, experienced, a little bit later in the career, but they improve the team.
Yeah. And look, Supermark says this. I seem really impressed with Feeney. Who cares with Gerrard? Gerrard's going to be out the door in 3 years' time. Fuck him. No, I seem really impressed with Feeney. Feeney's brilliant. Feeney will be like, in 3 years' time, lads. Feeney will be 20 years of age.
It's mad.
These talented people ruining my life. These talented people ruining my Friday evening. I joke. I jest, but hey, come here. In fairness to the likes of Mark Harrison and that crew, they're going to save us millions in the future. Fingers crossed. It looks like they are. They've done it with Ramsey. Hopefully, they've done it with lads. At the end of the day, we're this time. Okay, we this time last year, I was willing to spend about 100 million on two number sixes.
Yeah,
free transfer and Kamara, Tim.
Yeah, that's mad. Like I'd be happy to see those two play together at some point in some sort of capacity, minutes wise.
That James transforms a team if you get lucky in an area like that.
Yeah.
The amount you can horse at a striker, like to be honest with you, of all the positions in the field that you can take more shots and lose, I think is probably striker, because everyone expects you to lose. Like if you're 40 million striker, everyone's excited for a year. If he doesn't pan out, if you can get him you set him off for 28 million, okay, right, you get enough back. By the time you get amortization involved, you're probably breaking even.
Yeah.
But when you go further back the field, it probably is less and less and less because the wages get less as you go back the field. Of course, centre halves aside and such a midfielder aside. So like the more we can get our youth team in, like Ben Christine, sorry. I said I'm sticking with Christine. Ben Christine came on the other day, played fantastic against Brisbane Roar.
Yeah. And Kessler as well. I love Kessler. I think he's going to be I think him, Tim, and Archer are people I would personally have in my squad. I wouldn't be like, I wouldn't cry if they were sent out on loan for 6 months to a year. But I personally think they're ready, especially with 5 subs rule. If you brought Kessler on with 10, 15 minutes in a game that you were 2-0 up maybe already, his pace, he would worry any opposing fullback. It'd be great to see.
I'll be honest with you, James. I'm not sure he can defend for Toffee, but he's going forward is like if you're playing against a team that you expect to be attacking against, like Watford last season. If you have a Matty Cash, and I know we didn't have Dina for the first day of the season, but all of a sudden, if you've got like a Matty Cash, you can take him off and you can say, Matty, go balls to the wall for 60 minutes, and we're going to bring on Kane Kessler Hayden for 30 minutes. Like that's scary stuff. I have a question for you here, and lads, we're actually I don't have a question for you, but Cool Gaming is up. Did Tifo football mark young Tim as long term? I've been chatting to Tifo to try and get him on the podcast for ages, and you know what? If they did, and they stole my
I love the people.
They have to come on now anyway. If they've done that, if they've marked him now as someone potentially for the future, they have to come on for now. Now, in fairness, I could have the wrong email address, so I could be talking into the ether here for a while. It's often happened, but I would love to get Tifo football on. It's my favorite podcast in Holland.
I was actually watching Tifo videos before we came onto the podcast. Yeah, I love Tifo. They're great.
James, your manager tomorrow morning. And by the way, guys, we will be here with a team sheet tantrum tomorrow. Myself and Paddy will be here tomorrow for a team sheet tantrum. At 9. Carry the 1 -5. 9:35 is when we will be on for a team sheet tantrum in the morning. We will be here for a team sheet tantrum. But James, if I was to put a gun to your head and say Stephen Gerrard's got COVID, you have to pick the team in the morning. And we're going to go strong against Man United, I think.
Yeah. We're going to see
Who's James pick?
we're going to see what will be close to the Bournemouth team start of the season. I think very close to it. I like the 4-3-3, and I don't in a sense, but that's what I'm going to go with. Emmy in goal, Cash, Carlos, Mings, Dean, and then Kamara, McGinn, Luiz. I think we might see, and then Coutinho, Bailey, Watkins.
Like straight away on Twitter, they're all going, betting him out, betting him out. No Ramsey, betting him out. That's what they're saying. I can see hashtag. It's trending.
Okay,
but it's impossible. Like, isn't that a
Yeah.
isn't that a good position to be in? And we still think we're going to have another. I still think we're going to have another number 8 to come in. And I see people talking about Sangare in there. I look, he hasn't gone anywhere else. So why the fuck? Why wouldn't he come to Villa? He hasn't gone anywhere else. But like, we've got serious options inside there.
That's the thing, yeah. Because like I did that a bit wrong, really. I was thinking if from a Gerrard point of view, if it was me, I love Ramsey, and I could probably see a Ramsey McGinn as the 2-8s like last season. But from the Gerrard point of view, I don't know. He might still be wanting to see Luiz in an 8, and I don't think he drops McGinn, is what I think. But personally, if it was me, Kamara, McGinn, JJ, Kamara, Luiz, JJ, something like that.
Yeah.
But I think the front three will be Coutinho, Bailey, and Watkins. Maybe Buendia, but I do like the little bit of balance that we get from that front three.
I agree with you.
It's so tough to call.
Yeah, it's like for me tomorrow. If going to my head in the morning, I think Bailey starts. I think he loves Bailey. I think he loves Bailey. I think, like, when I talk about 4-2-3-1, 4-3-3 kind of a hybrid, I think he thinks Jacob Ramsey can play anywhere.
Yeah,
anywhere,
maybe.
Anywhere. I think.
Yeah, he's likened him to a bit like himself when he was younger.
Yeah.
Gerrard went through the stages of being an attacking player and a more defensive player under Benitez, when Benitez was more positional and being solid. I think he would trust Ramsey to do a job. He's used him as a 10. He's used him as an 8. I think he played some sort of minutes in a double pivot against West Ham, maybe at some point. He dropped in at some point in last season and played there, not for long, but I think he does trust him.
And they pushed Ashley Young up when they put Ashley Young into a position. Yeah, I was watching that going. My daughter's just been born. Should I be watching matches? I think it was the early game. I was like, just take them all off and forfeit the game, for fuck's sake. I've got things to do.
Yeah, so it's a really tough one. But I keep saying this. That's what makes it so good, because the only way that you compete is the competition between the players as well. You've got to keep them on their toes. You don't have guaranteed football for anyone. You've got to earn your spot there. And we've got the options to challenge each other. So I think we could be on the brink of a really fun season, I'll put it, because success isn't... You could do really well, but look at those 7-8 teams that are up there competing for European football. You could have a really good season and still lose out. So it's one of those. I want to see consistency and some coherent football.
Premier League is going to be ridiculously competitive this year.
Yeah,
like for in years gone by, when a bit of investment would have got you close to Europe. Like I'm not going to spoiler alert. I'm not going to give you what my prediction is, but I think people will think less of me with my prediction of a finish this season. I just think that there's teams who've done brilliant business this season, but I think there's teams who've done no business and bad business this season, like Man United. What are Man United doing? What are Leicester doing?
Amazing.
What have Wolves done?
Yeah.
But then again, there's time after the season starts, and that's when they can come into their own as well. But anyway, James, we're here. We're 74 minutes. Who would have known I tipped into the bottle of whiskey earlier on tonight and couldn't shut up. Lads, we will be back with a United team sheet tantrum tomorrow. But before we go, I think that I'm going to really enjoy this game tomorrow, win, lose, or draw, because United have been absolutely brilliant in preseason. I mean, lads, if you think you're seeing United of last season, forget it. Ten Hag ball is in full flow. United are good.
Mhm.
Good. Antonio Martial is very good in Ten Hag ball. So
And I like Ten Hag at Ajax. So the amount that I don't like United, I was a bit gutted he went there, to be honest. But the football should be exciting to watch. So yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
I'm really excited for the game tomorrow.
We've got from Red Pepper again. We've got an early prediction for tomorrow. Clean sheet tomorrow yet again. Do you know what? If we finish 0-0 tomorrow, I would be the happiest Aston Villa fan. Going, because I think it'd be good if we can keep a clean sheet tomorrow. I think it would give us a good read on where we are, because United have been pretty good in attack. Like, they scored an amazing goal against Crystal Palace. Amazing goal. Like, guys, if you haven't seen it, look it up on Twitter. It must have been 16 passes of complete and utter beauty. So they can do it when they want to. Now, if Alex Telles has a good game against us tomorrow, I might go insane, because I think he's the worst footballer in the whole entire Northern Hemisphere. But then again, that's me and my irrational hatred of him. But it's going to be good. We will be back with a team sheet tantrum at 9:35. So guys, thank you very much, everybody, for checking in. There's a rake of you watching. Could you give us a thumbs up? That'd be nice if you give us a thumbs up before I'll give you time. So I'm going to wait here for the next 30 seconds, and you can all hit the thumbs up and be sound to us. And that'd be really nice. It just does an awful lot for the algorithm. It kicks us up the algorithm. People can see the podcast that don't watch it. All you guys here are absolute stalwarts. I'm seeing the names like Ad is here, Ian is here, these guys, Leighton, always here, JD is always here, Aston, Jesus, we couldn't get rid of Aston. We couldn't get rid of Aston with Bleach. Jesus, he's always here, and we're delighted to have you here. Who else is here? Taiwan, always here. Hippo is always here as well. Peter Smith, always here. Liam, of course. Super Mark. You guys are always here, and I absolutely love you guys. But if you aren't hitting the thumbs up, other creators can't come in to watch the podcast. So if you could do that, really, really appreciate it. But thanks very much, guys. We're going to be back again tomorrow, and we love you for everything you do for the podcast. And Kahua Gaming said something at the very top of the hour, saying hashtag where is the merch? It's announcement soon, hopefully. It's just I'm not in control of that, nor is Paddy at the minute, but hopefully something soon. But thanks very much, James, for giving up your afternoon. 20 minutes, an hour and 20 minutes. I should put an hour in front of it, but you've been a legend for popping on. And everybody, thank you so much for popping on tonight. We will be back tomorrow morning. I really appreciate everything you do. Go to sleep, you crazies. And tomorrow morning, you know what? We'll all be shouting up the Villa, because Villa are going to beat United, and we're all going to be absolutely delighted. And until then, sweet dreams and up the Villa.
Up the Villa.
Oh, shit.